Hi, this is Alex back again with the tarot card of the month, and this one is for April 2022 and it's the Eight of Swords. Starting with the element, which is Earth. The zodiac sign is Capricorn. The planets are Mercury and Saturn, and the meaning here is basically restriction of movement, release of energy or power, self-inflicted restrictions or decisions, and lack of clear thinking. Now, starting with the number 8, some of the positive meanings of the number 8 are acknowledging error, regeneration, restrictive movement, results of victory, or conclusion of a cycle. The negative meanings are lack of persistence because it's all too hard, spiritual progress, generosity, and expansion. Emotionally, it's resigned to the fact, a bit like Eeyore, giving up, or the opposite one, determined to succeed, and enthusiasm. Now, going to the swords here, as you know, it's a cutting implement. It also stands for insight and getting right to the bottom of something or getting to the heart of it. It's defensive action, authority, conflict, triumph against the odds, justice and law, natural authority. But remember, swords are also spiritual, so don't forget that. And I also tend to concentrate more on the spiritual in a lot of things too. Now, coming down to the blindfold, that symbolises unwilling to see what's really right in front of your eyes or a situation, so you go into denial mode and woe is me. Now, the binding around the little lady's body here in the card signifies limitation in current events, and it's usually self-imposed and not willing to take action or accountability. And we've seen quite a lot of this with the whole Ukraine situation, and it's not just Zelensky and Putin, it's all your Western leaders as well. There's things going on behind the scenes that people don't know about, but we won't get involved in that. We're just sticking straight to what the card is for the month. Now, this card points to being a prisoner of your own making. A woman stands bound and blindfolded with swords to either side of her. Now, notice they're not in front of her, so she's got a clear path right in front of her. There's no one stopping her going forward but herself. So she has a narrow path that she must walk straight ahead. One foot touches the water, and that is her left foot. And I've mentioned before, the left hand side of the body is ruled by female energy, such as intuition and emotions, etc. The right hand side of the body is male energy, action, is earthly, and strength and control, etc. So she's got one foot in the water and one on the earth, so it's a balancing act or a tightrope act. Now, so saying this, we can deduce that the woman is weighing things up. She must be very careful in this endeavour and would be well advised to remove the blindfold and the body bindings in order to see what lies in front of her. Those bindings and blindfold are self-inflicted. The restrictions as to what she's done, and thus restricting herself to any positive outcomes. She's not willing to face the reality of her own actions. Now, that sends out quite a strong message again about Ukraine and the whole shebang, but I'm trying to avoid that, even though this is one of the most crucial times in history we're dealing with, and this card is telling us that, but I'm trying to push away from that. Now, right behind the lady, you'll see the castle. That signifies her power and wealth, and that's the wealth that she comes from. So she has a powerful background, signifying authority, structure, preservation of what was or is. The mountains in the far distance show the long journey that she's on. That can be career-wise, it could be spiritual, or whatever. You know, like whenever a person has their cards read, it's referring to where that individual's been, but we're talking about the whole human race, where we've been, where we're going here. And as a collective right now, it's very, very important. Now, this woman in the card, she can't turn back due to her choices or decisions that she'd made, whether they're for good or for bad. She can only move forward, a bit like on a chessboard. And right now she faces major hurdles of her own making. And this sums up the world's current situation right now. There doesn't seem on the surface to be much real authority and structure, as things are very much up in the air at present. And everyone is feeling defensive and restricted. There is no clear thinking of what to do in keeping things stable, and that's going to be it from here on in, so get used to it. It's like the lunatics have taken over the asylum. Right, the world is on a precipice right now. One wrong move and boom, things can explode, setting in motion a direction that may not be good for humanity and may not be able to be stopped. And right now people are very nervous and cautious. But look behind the scenes of world events right now. There are clear signs of deception and illusion. Nothing is by chance. The stage has been set by the hidden hand, and it's a chain of events that follow. These things were set in place many years ago, and now it's coming home to roost, and it's coming home fast. Now, many deals and double deals, lies told to the world. We the people pay the dreadful price for this. Don't make any mistake about that. We're sitting ducks. And we must tread very carefully right now and actively follow world events, because skullduggery is afoot. And for a long time now things have been getting out of hand, and it's about to hit the climax in which the unintended might happen. And petrol is only one of the things to watch out right now, as well as gas and oil. And don't be surprised if the price is slowed down for a short spell, especially in Australia due to the federal elections coming up in the end of May. I feel it'll be sometime, I'd say the 21st, I think is the third Saturday. So around about the 21st, or maybe the following weekend, I think that'll be when the election will be. Normally it's usually around about my wedding anniversary, which is in May. As soon as the elections are over though, expect the price to go back up. Well, that's a given really, isn't it? It's just what they do. Food's the other important thing to watch, and many people will not be able to afford basic food items because they have to choose between paying a bill or eating. And this is working people. They are the new poor. And this has actually been happening for a while now. And as you know, not like in the old days where mum stayed at home and dad went to work. Since the 1970s onwards, the wife had to come out of the house and either work full-time or part-time, and that's just got more and more hours. And of course nowadays you don't even get full-time jobs, especially if you're in hospitality or retail. You could be doing 3 part-time jobs. There's no security there, and you could lose that job in an instant. So this is the new poor that we're talking about. Now, as I look at the cards, I see a flash of yellow, like a golden yellow light cascading down the castle. That can imply happiness and spiritual protection, especially around the home, like your family home. And the swords stand protectively in front of the castle, which is built high up on a rock. And that also is implying a fortress and protection. Given that the castle is built on a solid rock, that gives one good strong foundations and strength, which is vital. And all this could mean some sort of surprise in store, like financial help for people to stave off a deeper financial suffering. And funnily enough, the budget has just been released this week in Canberra for Australia, and there is a little bit extra money coming, but it's not enough, nowhere near enough. It's just a little bit of piecemeal, and it's a bit of an insult really. And my advice is don't play the martyr this month for April. Be very cautious and act wisely. Save what you can and protect what you have, because It'll be gone in an instant, you know, like you could get ill or there's a natural disaster or anything can happen. You need that buffer, so don't spend what you don't have. And classic example is in Australia, there's been all these floods. Wasn't just one flood, a second one came, and all down the eastern seaboard from southern Queensland right down has been affected. And of course, you've got the war in Ukraine, and that's just going to be the nightmare it keeps on giving, because it's not going to stop at that. So, as I'm saying, globally, this card is for everyone. So it's not just what's happening around Australia, it's the entire world. Watch your money, be sensible, don't live above your means, or you're going to be stuffed. So you've got to work out what your priorities are. The home front, health and well-being, your finances. Don't travel unless you have to, because that can cause more issues. But if you have to travel, be very careful about where you're going to, especially if it's overseas travel. You might want to check with your country's equivalent to Foreign Affairs to see where are places that are not advisable to go. And on a world reading, this covers both sides of the Ukraine war as well. All's not what the public are being told, and this is a very complex issue. There's other nations' actions and deals, and it's all been muddied. So things have been hidden deliberately. And it shows foreign states' hands involved on either side of this conflict. That information is gradually coming out. However, someone will up the stakes to prevent a particular nation's involvement being implicated. And I won't name the Western nation though, but I think you can guess. This doesn't look a good outcome, sadly, and it's highly distressing, prolonging the suffering of innocent people, and that's just not fair. I see a lot of spring rain creating a very muddy battleground in Ukraine over the next few weeks too, and that will cause a temporary halt to heavy tanks and other heavy equipment being transported. That's a very difficult task to move anything like that in mud, and everything gets bogged down. So that will slow the conflict only a little, but I see new maps being drawn by Russia. How big of them? And Putin is going after something in particular. It's not actually the Ukrainian parliament. There's another building, and I don't know if it's a nuclear power plant or what it is, but it's a big and very significant building that he's going after. And if he succeeds, this will spell disaster for the Ukrainian people. But as I said, it's got significance, and this could be a big game changer. And Europe needs to be on their toes and respond very quickly, but very carefully, as they don't want to risk an all-out war. Hence, we've seen some of those go-slow things that have been exasperating. It's had a negative effect on the civilians, unfortunately. China, in the meantime, we're talking about the CCP, are watching all of this and taking note, and they're rubbing their hands with glee as they've picked up some useful information on urban combat, etc. But they just may be in for a shock when they go after Taiwan, because I feel that they've underestimated the people and the counteraction. It's a terrible situation, and I can't bear to see people or animals suffering. This is not the way for humans to behave. It's absolutely disgusting, and the trauma from this will last a very long time. So please give a thought to all the animals caught up in this human conflict as well. They don't deserve it. They haven't done anything wrong. They're pure and loving, gentle souls. And you just think, why the hell have animals got to pay the price because of humans? And right now I'm praying for everyone. I don't care what side of the conflict you're on. Ordinary people, it's not their fault, and we shouldn't be hating each other. It's the world leaders. They're not to be trusted. They're a right crooked bunch, and we all know what politicians and all these big powerful businessmen and bankers are like anyway. And they're just playing with us like pawns on a chessboard. So it's the ordinary people that I'm praying for, and I just can't stand to see people suffer. And seeing the elderly people in the Ukraine, trying to evacuate them safely, it's just horrendous. They've been through enough in their lives, and they just don't need this. right at the end of their lives. Just before I finish, there's just one little note here. When I did last month's tarot card of the month, I did say something was going to happen and it was going to last 3 or 4 months, and well, we know that now turned out to be Ukraine. For some reason, Spirit doesn't tell me exactly what it is, just there's an awful feeling that comes through me, and it's like a knowing, but they're not telling me what it is. It's just that something bad is on its way, and I get the feeling of 3 or 4 months. And as we're saying, it's all starting to change now. What it morphs into, God only knows, but I think this is going to go on, I would say, from the end of May to maybe the beginning of June. But after that, where does it go? Because I think there's going to be a lull and then something else is going to happen. So we just have to hang in there and see what comes. And I'll have to pull out the cards and see what else I can pull out. But in the meantime, everybody hang in there and positive thoughts. I know it's not much, but it's the best we can do when people hold positive thoughts in their mind. That's powerful, you know. It's the law of attraction. If you think woe is me and everything's crap and whatnot, you're going to draw that to you, because it's like a magnet. What you think is. And that's why people, whether in the physical world or spirit world, must be very careful about their thoughts and what thoughts they hold, because they're energy and you're attracting that energy. When you think in a low vibration, it's a thing. It's very hard for humans to teach themselves to don't go there, because we're living in the third dimension, which is a low energy vibration. It's inevitable, but it's a thing where we have to keep training ourselves. Don't go there. Don't poke the bear. Don't rip the band-aid off and hurt yourself, so to speak. You know, just don't. Okay, well, I'm going now, and I'm wishing you all the very best and warm and fuzzy hugs. Bye for now.